What's up, guys? Today we're going to be comparing the iPhone 13 Pro to the iPhone 10s here. The 10s, one of my favorite older iPhones to buy, actually my favorite. It costs around roughly 250 bucks. I have a couple videos. New 14 Pro going to cost you $1,000. Let's go ahead and just kick it off with a quick speed test here. How much of a speed difference are we going to see here? Let's go ahead and open up Geekbench, and I will go ahead and show you guys the Geekbench scores here. So this is pretty much the difference that you will see. So you do get a pretty significant difference with the multi-core score here. Let's go ahead and just do some basic apps. Phone. Let's go ahead. Music. Not too bad. Let's do Subway Surf. iPhone 14 Pro and 10s right behind it. You guys can see both these phones pretty much, or the 10s at least, it remains fairly smooth still. So that's one thing that I've noticed about this phone, is not really a jerky or slow phone. Let's go ahead and get out of that. Let's try YouTube. Now there's also one thing you would notice. The new 14 Pro does have 120 Hertz. You do not have that on the 10s, so you will notice that super smooth scrolling. Let's go ahead and try heavier game like Pubg. Now the gaming experience is going to be pretty good on the 10s. That's why I always recommend it, because it's actually able to play Pubg at HDR Extreme. And it's be able to play it consistently at the 60 frames. So that's something that I always appreciate, especially again for that price point. Boom, 14 Pro in. So overall, the speed difference, is it noticeable? Yes, you will be able to notice it, but for the average person, you have to kind of decide if that second or two difference is enough for you personally. Now as far as the gaming goes, for games that are a little bit more intense like Genshin Impact and stuff like that, yes, you're gonna like that extra power, but if you're not like a hardcore gamer or anything like that, then you'll be fine. You'll be fine with the 10s. Like I said, still able to play at excellent settings. You guys can see the 14 Pro. Again, this is HDR. This will get the update eventually to have the 90 frames option as well. So that's also something you can think about playing games at a slightly higher frame rate. Again, 10s able to play Pubg super smooth at HDR Extreme as well. So you're gonna get a good experience on both. But like I said, if you're more of a gamer, then yes, you're gonna like the slightly beefed up 14 Pro. You're gonna like that extra power. All right, let's talk about the hardware difference on both of these phones. So the 14 Pro is definitely gonna be heavier than the 10s. As far as the size goes, you guys can see, so 14 a little bit taller, a little bit thicker as well, bigger camera bump as well too. And I really like the look of the 10s. I've always thought this was one of my favorite designs from Apple. It has this very classy feel to it, which is something that I really like. I do like the matte finish on the 14. You can't see fingerprints and stuff like that. So they both look really good still. So that's something that I really like. And let's go ahead and actually talk about the display, because we do have a display upgrade here, and you guys can see that we do have the punch hole cutout, or the pill cutout, and then we have the classic notch. So yeah, you get a little bit more screen, as you can see, a little bit more pixels on the screen. It looks a little bit more modern. Apple claims that the bezels are a little bit thinner, which you can't really tell, honestly. But yeah, so the one thing about the screen is that the 14 Pro does have a 2000 nits peak brightness, so it gets really bright outdoors. It's one of the brightest phones you can actually get. So that is really nice. And also, what people forget about the 10s is that it actually has an OLED display, and it's a high resolution display. It's a 5.8 inch display, so it's slightly smaller than the 6.1 inch display on the 14 Pro. It's also a 1080p panel, 458 for the PPI. The 14 Pro display is the XDR Retina display. It's OLED, like I said, 120 hertz, and then it's 1170 by 2556, 460 for the PPI. They both look really great. Like I said, it is a pretty nice display upgrade, depending on if you think the pill-shaped cutout looks better than the notch. And also you get the 120 hertz, so the display and everything just feels much more smoother, especially when you're scrolling and stuff like that. So that's kind of a decision you have to make. I think it's a pretty decent display upgrade. It's super bright outdoors, 120 hertz. You get a new display design, but it comes down to, do you care about that, and also your thoughts on the pill shape versus the notch. So let's go ahead and check out some additional features here, and we'll start off with the stereo speakers, and we're on max volume. Start with the 14. So both speakers sound great, but yes, the 14 Pro speaker, it is a little bit louder than the 10s, and the bass is a little bit thumpier. So overall, it is an upgrade in terms of the speaker quality. It does sound noticeably better. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the Face ID and stuff like that. It honestly feels the same on both of these phones. I did not notice a difference. It doesn't feel any more faster. And also you do have NFC with Apple Pay. Both these phones have wireless charging as well too. Alright, I'm going to show you guys some side-by-side stills, but first let's take a look at the specs. This might be a pretty good upgrade depending on whether you guys think the stills are significantly better. So the 13 Pro, it does have the 48 megapixel standard, a 12 megapixel telephoto with 3x optical, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It has a macro mode, and you also have 4K video as well at 60 frames, and then a 12 megapixel a selfie cam that shoots in 4K 60, and then you also have the cinematic mode, which you don't have on the 10s. Now the 10s has a dual camera setup here, and it does have a 12 megapixel standard, a 12 megapixel telephoto with 2x, and then it shoots in 4K 60 as well, a 7 megapixel selfie, and then you also have 1080p video. So you do get that additional camera, and then you get you know, the cinematic mode, and overall a higher resolution lens. So do the stills look better? Be sure to let me know. Here's the 10s, 2x, here's the 14 Pro, 0.5, 2x, 3x. Alright guys, next is going to be battery life. This is also a pretty good upgrade because you will notice the battery life is going to last much longer on your 14, or even if you don't want to get the 14 Pro, you can get the 13 Pro. These phones have pretty good battery life, so you are going to get a pretty nice battery upgrade. The 10s will get you around I can get around 4 or 5, not 4, but 5 hours of screen on time, close to 6 hours of screen on time if you're not doing, you know, too heavy of a job on it. But 9 times out of 10, if you do buy this phone, you're gonna get it, you know, refurbished or renewed or used, and it's not gonna have 100% battery health. So that's why. All right, so battery life is going to be a pretty nice upgrade. You also have the MagSafe wireless charging on the iPhone as well too. So overall, I think it's a pretty good upgrade, guys. Depending on if you thought the cameras were better, if you didn't think the cameras were that much better, I probably wouldn't upgrade, because that's like a big part of the upgrade, in my opinion. The screens, that's not really a big deal, and also the speed to me is not that big of a deal as well. The 10s is still pretty fast, so it really comes down to the camera, to me, honestly. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.